That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it?
What do you think, Bruno?
I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away.
The complete opposite of Hurley, then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better.
Well, at least I managed to prise a little more information from these witnesses' lips. All thanks to Skulkin Brothers.
Yes, they were the key to it.
Oh, you cut out, but you're kind of choppy.
Oh yeah, give me a second.
Huh?
Give me a second. Yeah, it's on my end. Something is auto opening up on the screen and it's taking up the bandwidth. I'm trying to close it, but if I'm too quick, it'll crash a sec. I can hear you fine. You can keep going.
So he says he has nothing to do with window banks. Well, we know that's not true.
Just trying to auto up. Am I bad? Perhaps now would be
It's still choppy.
proper look at the court records.
You're still cutting in and out.
Okay. Now? Better now? Can you hear me now? Hello?
I think so.
Hello? Yeah? Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court records.
Okay, that worked fine. Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information could become a valuable weapon. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely still trying to catch up. So the last statement, because it was the one that was added. Scaramouche, can you see the fandango? Had nothing to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed. So can we just present that photo that they literally just showed 5 seconds ago?
I mean, when we questioned him, he literally said that he was there just to peruse the stuff. So.
Yeah, so I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man is killed.
Yeah, but when we pressed this last statement, he said that he was there just to peruse, that he wasn't taking anything out.
Oh, so we have to prove that he was taking something out. So the photo with the cat, maybe.
Does that prove he was taking something out?
No, neither of those. Is it the disc? The photo. Yeah, the photo of the cat. They're there. They're the two slips, right?
But why would that show anything about him?
No, it's not that one. It's not that one. Yeah, I was just trying to read. I thought that was it, but no, it's not that one either. Then you're right. Can we go look at the disc?
The disc?
No. No, because there's nothing that says that. I mean, it's his blood, but like, is that enough to prove that he was there? Because we can, like, they don't even want us to. It's not gonna be it. That's not gonna be it. Because they're not gonna want us. Like, they're gonna be like, it's not his blood. How do you know it's his blood?
I don't know. What do you want? What do you want to guess?
Oh God! Wait! Too fast! Go back. No, keep going. Keep going. No. It's not that one either. So go back. It's not any of those. Keep going. Yeah, no, keep going. No, keep going. It's not that. No, I don't. Single bullet, no other types of trauma. Yeah, I don't know. I'm lost. I don't know what. I'd say, I guess, just go with the disc.
The disc?
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Okay, for your first guess. Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of this murder, in pawn at Mr. Winterbank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Mr. Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. That somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on the disc. Yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, where the disc bears the remnants of the skirmish in the form of the smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnant also, in the form of a scratch.
Show us your thumb! I refuse.
Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon. You refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this? So you admit it now. You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant. Order. Well, Mr. Graydon. It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you'll see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What?
It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence, my learned friends have established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now.
As you wish. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that night. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say, the famous London philanthropist, who perished in this very courtroom 2 months after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder. Yes, my lord, the one and the same. Good lord, Mr. Graydon, are you saying that McGilded and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Order. Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, the disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Winterbank's.
It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it?
No likelihood he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Winterbank's in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Counsel, you commence your cross-examination, please. The disc. There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties, having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand. Which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claim it was your overcoat. Obviously, and in my haste I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket.
And yet there's a note in it that reads, for McGilded.
I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met Mr. McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city, was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. So, the disc in question. It's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it.
But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn.
Yes, exactly.
Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she?
No, because McGilda threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury that we're totally talking about out loud in the middle of the courtroom when they overhear us all the time.
Perjury, you say?
Oh dear. This is complicated, isn't it?
Let's leave it alone for the time being.
I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear that.
Also, I love that, like, he's so, like, appalled by the idea of defending somebody who's guilty, but he's perfectly fine with hiding something that somebody's guilty for. Like, I get perjury is maybe not as bad as murder, but, like...
Yeah, I mean... It's not his case anymore.
So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket for a packet or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequent.
Insalubrious? Fancy.
Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information needed to identify the defendant.
Sorry,
You were looking for... It's okay. That's what brought you to Winterbanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
It's giving me an upset stomach.
What is?
Yawning so hard.
Oh, wow.
Oof. My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. I'm not even tired.
Nonsense? I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you are refrained from conjecturing in this way, is that clear? Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be. Proceed to at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. Had you ever been to Winterbanks before? Only once for the purposes of pawning something, but like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments.
So when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course, such is the art of the pick purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently, the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded. It's evidence.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way.
No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilda's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine.
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secret?
Yes, exactly. You should know all about that.
Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life, yet he had a dark side too.
Where are you going with this, Von Zieks?
I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of this nefarious activities, are they?
That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know.
Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
Bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zieks here.
Well, it would appear that the inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony.
Gladly, my lord. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh.
Evalia was brought in by the police to assess everything at the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common of garden bric-a-brac.
In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilda's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there's nothing of McGilda's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. Wonder if that's really true.
Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see what that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble.
McGill had slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had to deposit at Windibank's. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket.
There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth.
The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGill did as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day.
But Gregsy's being very strange about all this.
There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. Just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, this is the one that we have to present something for if we're going to present anything, so. Give it a save.
just in case.
Um, absolutely no reason to break into the shop. What he does is, do we corroborate with the other thing? Because he's looking for another disc.
You might need to look at some evidence more closely for this one.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I just got a quick text message to reply to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting stressed and I'm forgetting words. Um, what's it called when you buy something that's like, you buy something that's like, it's not the brand, but it's like somebody made it to look like it's the same brand.
Knockoff?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Ugh.
Boot or bootleg?
Yeah.
Boot off?
Buddha.
Knock leg?
Okay. Whew. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Okay. So I know what it is. So we need to find evidence to support it. So, next, go right to the next item. No, not all the way.
Oh. Not that one, next page.
Next one. Next one. Next one. Blood is not going to tell me that he had a reason to go in. So next one. Can we check this one? Okay, yeah. Okay. That's it. Okay, next. Can I see that one? Flip it. Does it not read anything?
If we click it, it'll be stuff we've.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
It's what it said in the summary for the item.
Yeah, mystery mode classified secrets may have been leaked to foreign agencies. Okay, next. No. 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 Can I see that? No. Yeah, let me see it. It's the same. Okay, no. Well,
So
the
one-
cat is there. Was the cat?
What?
Things were shifted. Don't worry about it. Keep going. No. I don't think it'd be the music box again. It wouldn't make sense. I know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that the reason why he'd break in is because he thought that there was a second music box also, but he didn't know the redemption information for that one, so he couldn't get it. So he was breaking in to steal it. But like, how do I say that? You know what I mean?
I don't think there's a way to say that.
So that's not what I'm trying to get at.
Uh,
Can you give me a hint?
it's something on the first page.
Okay. So it's not that. Let me see that one. One small box. Is it that? He was getting the music box that can play the music. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, might as well. We saved. Yeah, we saved. That's so out of left field.
This disc was deposited at Windibanks on Magnus McGilda's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Conjecture again, and in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbroker again that night.
Sorry, my learned friend. That's not true.
What?
Mr. McGilda had another article in Pawn at Windibanks. Is this second pawnbroker's ticket proves? Ah! There were 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGilda in Windibanks' pawnbrokery, and the reason he broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your 2 accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. Ugh!
This is the second ticket, is it?
What had the man deposited?
The article description reads, 1 small box.
A rather vague description, it seems to me.
Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd! Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There'd be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point.
Indeed, the witness makes a solid argument.
So that means for some reason, this Creighton fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense.
Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Von Zieks?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windibank's pawnbroker. And rest assured the prosecution can prove it.
What?
Good gracious.
Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
What prints?
These prints were taken from the detective's security cameras.
And Haley's red-handed recorder again.
As previously explained using this plan of the shop's layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windibanks received his customers. The other was set to capture shelves in which the article was placed, safe once forfeited.
For sale. Close.
For sale once forfeited. I can't read.
According to the information of this ticket, McGilda's small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 p.m. at 13th of April, to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's 11 p.m. at 15th of April. The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear.
And then here we have another print.
This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. I see, so we have 2 pictures to compare. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So your men have already compared the 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector? Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the Yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both.
In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy.
Ugh! I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen Matilda's pawn box, I might have been able to break him down at last.
You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking. I wonder if these 2 photographs are exactly the same.
What?
So, counsel, in light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? Seems that in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy between these two photographic prints somewhere?
Could there be a hidden discrepancy? I mean, yeah. I guess, do we point out a discrepancy?
I mean, which of the 3 options do you think it is?
I think that there's going to be a discrepancy. Like, I don't think we have evidence to point out.
You sure?
I mean, I'm not 100% sure, to be completely honest, but
Do you see a discrepancy?
I mean, I can't see the photos anymore, so it's hard for me to see it. If
You can
it's
see most of
under-
them.
If it's under the multiple choice, I can't see it. If it's outside of the multiple choice, then
I'll just say there's 2 right answers here, but one is easier.
is it easier to just use a piece of evidence? Or is it easier to point out the discrepancy?
Do you want one more hint on that?
Yeah.
Oh, when we dealt with these 2, we had a way that would tell the difference.
It shifted and it got 3D. Yeah. So I'm like, it's hard for me to like try to see if I can get it 3D with the words in the way. So I guess we can point out the discrepancy, or do you use a piece of evidence to show the photo that shifted? I guess, yeah, do that. You use a piece of evidence and then
Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something, if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy.
Not entirely sure I follow. Which piece of evidence do you tend to use to help you identify discrepancy between the 2 prints?
the photos.
The photos?
The stereoscope. That one. Yeah.
I was like trying to figure out what are you going to do with the photos?
to show that the stereoscope works, essentially. Like, I was just gonna cross
You,
my eyes.
you
until I
have the
figured it out.
stereoscope.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
that's how you could have done the other one and brute forced it, but
Yeah, just like cross your eyes until you see it.
yeah, I guess. I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically.
Oh! Yes, you've caught the bug at last. You can't resist it, can you?
Plus, you don't get anything from him if you don't do this option.
You've got the cross-eyed compulsion.
Tray number 3. What a surprise.
Come on, Rito. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. There we go. Now look through the eyepiece.
I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between the two prints.
What?
You must identify the location in question for the court counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
I'm sure this puzzle was a little bit more fun, I would say, in the 3DS when it actually popped out.
I guess. I mean,
Indicate the precise location.
Where is it?
I think the blurry part in the blurry area.
right here.
Sounds blurry enough, but I think it's more blurrier. Gotta go down to the right, up, right there. Perfect. No, there. Look at that.
Granted, the two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
When you view the two pictures stereoscopically,
Oh yeah, you definitely would have been able to figure out the difference.
I mean, it was
it is
just shifted over like a few pixels.
I mean, it's noticeably shifted.
A single area stands out as being different, the location of the small box. Yeah, but when you have to sit while you scour the entire image.
Let me wait. Unbelievable!
Plus, you get this lovely image for doing this fast.
I love Von Zieks. You looking at the stereoscope. Oh, Emily! I didn't even
Right.
have to look at the VOD. You
By
lied to
Jove,
me.
you're right. How extraordinary.
Wait, I gotta take a picture. Oh, it's
Oh,
too
too
late. I'll
late.
take a picture of the VOD.
What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilda's small box is indeed not stolen from Windibanks the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place in the shelves.
Are you suggesting the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilda is in fact?
Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed.
That might be true, but... Alright, McGilda's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things?
It changes everything.
Two options, nothing or everything.
I love binaries. It changes everything.
Well, I mean, there couldn't be a possible other, it's either nothing or everything. That's how everything works. Otherwise, it'd be that's how nothing works. So... I believe this changes everything about the case.
How could that possibly be?
The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we need to examine the box as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
A vital piece of evidence sitting on the shelves at Windibanks as we speak.
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Von Zieks. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
How convenient is
Awkward
it that...
staring contest. Just the entire time they're going to get there, we're just staring at each other. How convenient that what?
Oh no, I misunderstood. I was like, how convenient that the two red-handed recorders take photos to make them into stereoscopic vision photos, but it's the same photo taken at multiple times.
Yeah, it's just
I got
which change.
I
It's
figured it out.
time is the dimension there, not the x or y axes
Night distance.
or z axes.
It's the fourth dimension. Time.
The q axes. Dang it! If only we had a letter to properly signify time.
We should have a report within half an hour.
Excuse me, controller.
It's gonna take half an hour for them to get to Baker Street.
Controller.
Your controller has kicked the bucket.
What? Why? Why controller?
I am sorry, Father.
There we
I
go.
am tired of the game.
I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Von Zieks.
This is nothing but a smokescreen, an Ipanese specialty, it would seem.
What are you trying to say?
My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to McGilded from the pawnbroker.
Belonging.
Belonging. Yet common sense tells us that none of these articles are value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. The value of an item is all personal.
Exactly. It would be
Yeah,
beyond
thank you.
absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property.
My hallowed chalice has poured forth. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilded perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of this trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense.
The articles in this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, in the small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me.
You know, that does make a rather lot of sense.
It's not if it was gold or jewels, is it? Oh, goodness. No, it's Mr. McGill was rich enough.
You can't deposit cash on Brown Brokery. I can't read that.
The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. Did he even sip from that one? I feel like he just poured that one just to throw it. Also, for it to burst into flames, the alcohol content in that wine is off the charts.
98%.
Just pure alcohol.
2% grape.
Even rubbing alcohol doesn't catch fire that intensely.
Well, why would he be drinking rubbing alcohol? Don't
I'm
be
saying,
silly.
that's the highest concentration of liquid alcohol that you normally can purchase.
Yeah, and why would he be drinking that?
Ugh. So, your style of comedy just leaves very little room to explain what possible significance these commonplace articles spawned by this fine citizen could have.
Hmm.
Well, Counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box aren't any tangible way related to this case?
Well,
What's the matter, Bruno? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence.
yes, of course, you and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character, and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information.
Oh no!
And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury.
But Ginny...
It could be that Van Zieks knows. Is that why he's doing this now? Because he's anticipated everything.
But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us.
Sorry, what do you mean, Iris?
Well, what is it that you always say, Bruno? Sooner or later, the truth comes out, every time.
Alright, the exact significance of the things that McGill deposited with Mr. Bundenbank is something only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? Oops, wrong button. What do you think I should do?
Well, the game is going to want us to have Gina testify because the truth always comes out sooner or later. But I want to see what happens if we just say leave it and just be
You do?
real naughty lawyers.
No, I can't get Gina to testify about this. If I did, she'd be forced to admit that she's guilty of a serious offense already. And for a pickpocket like her, that would surely be the nail in the coffin as far as this trial is concerned.
So you're not going to call Ginny then?
Well, to be honest, I was on the verge of deciding not to. But we have to uncover the truth here. In order to do that, we might have to suffer a few consequences along the way.
They don't even respect your autonomy to make that choice.
I mean,
he was like, yeah, no, it's a good idea not to. And then Iris is like, so you're not going to? Well, actually, I was going to this entire time.
no, he didn't say he was going to the entire night. He said, he was basically like, I considered it. So basically, you had the choice of whether he considers it or not.
Let me consider being a good lawyer or somebody who's like obsessed about the truth.
Bruno!
I mean, wouldn't a good lawyer also pick this because, like, this is the chance of getting his client acquitted?
Yeah, but it's also the chance of getting his client like committed for perjury from a previous offense.
Yes, but if he doesn't do it at all, then she's getting she's
Convinced for murder, or
Yeah.
yes, convicted for murder.
In other words, there's only one course of action for us to take here. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
What proposal, Counsel?
While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilded's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand.
I thought that
The defendant.
the defendant couldn't be witness to their crime.
No, we've had defendants be witnesses before.
I guess so. Just I wish we could have had Wagahai himself, you know,
The cat?
Neko Atsume.
To what end?
It's
That
to the
was his name?
various it's to the various articles deposited at Winterbank since to McGilded, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all.
Well, well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused standing and indeed your own.
I have.
Lord Van Zieks, would you care to explain that last remark?
Oh no. The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal.
Ignores the judge.
I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself.
Very well, if you have no objection. So, the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. The witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice.
Then I shall bid you good day.
Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Lestrade testifies.
As you wish. Alright then, Gina, it's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here.
Put your faith in
God, I knew you were gonna
me
do
and
that
I'll
DDR
throw
song.
you to your heart, your mouth. Get that, Bruno.
Listen, you have to.
Put your faith in me, as true.
That's one of my jams.
The articles that Mr. McGilda had deposited in Winterbank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which you've heard in this courtroom 2 months ago.
Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well.
That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilded.
The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we all are again, the same players in that trial, facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nibonese friend.
Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Gee, stabbed to death makes it sound so violent.
I mean, he was.
Apart from the victim, there was only one person in the carriage, Mr. McGilded. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder.
I volunteered to voice Thrice-Fied Mason.
Sure. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck. With the body then being dropped through the skylight in the carriage below. It was Mr. Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Mr. Lestrade was concealed into a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilda died in this very courtroom in the same extraordinary of circumstances.
In the same.
The most extraordinary.
Oof. Renowski knows something we don't.
I mean, this is all pretty extraordinary, so...
A mystery that remains unsolved now, 2 months on. As indeed does the omnibus murder itself.
Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor the small box being mentioned in the course of these proceedings.
Miss Lestrade, would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean?
I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know.
And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade, This is extremely important.
But
Remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information at the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury.
Jeez. He is an agent of chaos. Like,
Yeah.
I will allow this cross-examination. Remember, if you admit anything, you're in trouble.
Mm.
Like,
And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face the facts. We have little credibility to lose.
also, why would her credibility matter if her credibility already doesn't matter? Why would it matter?
because she's already known to have committed perjury before, so why wouldn't she be committing perjury now?
Well, yeah. So, like, why would you? If, like, that's my point. Like, if she admits to perjury, wouldn't it be like a paradox of her just saying being perjurous to be perjurous?
I don't know what you're saying.
Ginny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Runo now. Iris, we're on your side. All right then. I'll talk.
It's the right choice, Gina.
Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down to about his... What?
It's hell bent on bringing the entire courtroom about his ears. Oh, okay.
So be it.
I'm like, down to his ears? What does that even mean?
Like,
But that's
Destruction.
wasn't even what it was. Yeah.
I must confess, I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilda's Bond articles in the extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we've been hitherto unaware.
Hitherto.
So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, the commodity sorely lacking in your original statements.
this is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zieks said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears. But as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk.
Truth is, that brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream over me head, and that pit on the roof deck went off to call the cops.
Nope. Read it again.
To call the slops. I mean, it's the cops. I'm just like, I'm so used to Cockney slang at this point that
You're not a translator.
I just translated it in my head. It's an accident.
You're not the
when
translator.
That'd be so funny if Cockney people. Sorry, that's when McGilda slipped the diver some tin to do a round to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one what I've seen or heard. This possibly can't have been Cockney in Japanese.
What do you mean?
Like, how do you do a Cockney accent in Japanese?
I don't know, but like I'm pretty sure that the intention would be the character's Cockney.
It's probably just like Kansai dialect or some weird like position.
Good grief, this is outrageous. What you just told the court bears almost no resemblance to the testimony 2 months ago.
As you say, my lord.
Then there's every chance I may have educated an error in Mr. McGilda's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court. In an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes.
The most wicked. Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial, this witness, and my learned friend are entirely inexcusable.
I don't believe it.
The whole trial was a farce. It was all lies.
Let me kill that fella with this right to the core.
Don't forget the lie on it is. They're all in this together. You're wrong, the lot of ya. Mr. Naruto, the lawyer here. The lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it.
Humbug. I hate Christmas.
Oh,
I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
He really stitched everyone up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free.
Unforgivable, stop the lies, have to stop.
Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of McGilda's pawned articles must be brought to light.
very well, my learned student friend. Given the depths of calamity you've just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing.
Words fail me. The situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Merhorder,
Yes, my lord.
I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial.
Of course, my lord. So he's going to be punished for defending somebody who is guilty.
Blimey, Mr. Naruto.
No, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination.
That's not... I feel like there's some sort of statute of limitation to being like...
3 days is not the statute of limitations. Or 2
No, I'm
months. It's 2
saying-
months. 2
I'm
months.
saying that there has to be some like thing where a lawyer could be like, he didn't tell me this. I was going off of what I believe were true statements. It's not my fault. Like the court
Yeah, well,
even
he's still
accepted them.
responsible, apparently.
But you know what I mean? Like in the real world, I feel like that's not how it works.
Yeah, well, the real world doesn't exist now, does it?
I guess so.